Welcome, metal listeners. This is Into the Cowboy.
So what do you guys prefer? Because this is a pretty stacked, cohesive lineup. You guys are all old school death metal bands. Do you like that kind of thing, or do you guys like, bringing out young bands, new bands, or what do you prefer? What's most fun for you?
Obituary is always headlining, so it's nice for us to finally, be not last.
Yeah.
And it's set up. It's a pretty organized show concert where it's not. Again, back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they always want the headliner on at like 12:30 at night.
Right.
Playing until 1:30 in the morning, because I understand bar owners, they want people to drink as late as they can keep them there, even on weekdays.
True.
But with this, man, with the Live Nation, it's very well organized where every night's the same thing. Like Obituary's on at 9:05 p.m. every night.
Okay.
So it's great for us. We're not last. We get to actually finish a show and have a beer and watch Cannibal.
Yeah.
And we haven't toured with Cannibal in a long time, man. Like 20-something years ago.
Really?
So we're good friends, and it's cool that we're doing this.
Yeah. I was listening to an interview of you guys back. It must have been like 20 years ago. It was you and Cannibal, and I forget who else it was, but you guys sounded about 20 years younger in it. So.
Yeah, it was like 94. So 22 years ago we toured with them. Good friends, and it's cool to be out. We're on the bus. We're on the bus with Cryptopsy. So
okay.
Super cool dudes.
Yeah.
And having a blast.
So what's the difference between you guys touring back then to now? How much has changed tour wise? You guys approach it the same?
Yeah, not much, man. It's good to know that the fans are still there, the venues are still around, and the fans are waiting for you to roll into town. So the social network helps us let everybody know when we're going to be there and what's going on, and keeps them informed. And that's about the only difference is that there's an internet now.
Right.
Well,
right.
I guess playing off the fans though. I mean, you guys have been doing this. Longer than I've been around on this earth.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing is, it's I guess it's a younger generation. I mean, I seen just while I was standing in line. There's people of all ages. So I guess what I'm saying? I guess how do you guys learn to connect with the younger? I mean, I'm 26. I mean, I've seen some 18-year-olds in line.
Absolutely. We don't do anything but be ourselves. We are good at what we do, which is Obituary. We don't try to write music for an older or younger person. We write music at what we think we like and what we think the fans are going to dig, and that normally means the same thing. Like, if I love the riff we come up with, I have a feeling my fans are going to love it. And so we don't really try to do anything except, again, just kind of be ourselves, man. And a lot of people, when they've never seen Obituary live, and which we're learning on this tour, a lot of fans, a lot of Cannibal fans haven't necessarily seen Obituary, so we're catching a lot of those responses like, you guys are sick live, and I've never seen it before, and it's like, and now I'm going to pay attention to this band more. And we're also the band, we're not afraid to have fun on stage and literally be in a good mood and smile, because sometimes, for me anyway, death metal bands sometimes take it a little too serious, and we're not afraid to literally have a good time, because again, man, we're not young. We've been doing this a long time, and we're not intimidated by anybody, and we have a blast because we're still really good friends, and it shows on stage.
I don't know if you noticed the trend with a lot of modern death metal. At least the overall trend is a lot of technical, faster. But what's cool and refreshing about you guys keep that, to me at least, that groove.
Yeah.
I never hear like you guys are trying to, just go nuts on your guitar for that sake or whatever. It's like very, listenable. And I've showed a couple of my friends that before that hadn't heard you guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the immediate thing, it's just a nice refreshing change,
Yeah, I mean, times are changing, man. Bands and there's the drummers that are in these bands now will run circles around me, and I'd be the first to say that. But the thing that I'm confident is that my style of drumming is catered to Obituary. And Obituary is catered to the live show, and that's what the young fans, when they come and see us, they're kind of blown away that we don't rely on speed or the 1,000-mile-an-hour feet or shredding as fast as you possibly can. Instead, we kind of go back. It's almost like Led Zeppelin meets Black Sabbath meets death metal,
right?
And it's got that groove where people, they didn't even know if they were going to like it or not, but then when they finally get a little piece of it, Perfect example is with this tour, because these bands, these first two bands that warm up the night, they're fucking technical and they're badass and fast and killer, and then all of a sudden there's these old dudes that get on stage and we just keep this groovy mid-tempo, really heavy sound, and then and of course the cherry on the cake for the kids is and then Cannibal goes on. So
right.
It's a great scenario for Obituary, man, because we're again, we throw down like what we know, which is that mid-tempo Florida death metal feel,
Yeah. So I mean, I know you guys have probably been asked this before, but because you guys came around, I mean, right when death metal started happening, you guys were one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
Where did you guys where did the groove fit into that? Like, how did you guys really get that sound and maintain that? Whereas other ones, you don't hear that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we were young enough, or we're old enough, that we were around at a very young age where, besides the obvious, besides the Kill 'Em All record that was just coming out, we were already kind of writing music and freaking out on music before anyone knew what that was. So it's just one of those things where it didn't start with us being influenced by death metal. We were influenced by metal, like Sabbath and Ronnie James Dio and Ozzy, and before that, like when I started freaking out on music, it was what my oldest brother was listening to, which was Southern rock, Leonard Skinner, Molly Hatchet, Outlaws, all the Southern, Florida rock and roll, and that's where I learned to groove, and of course Led Zeppelin, and then of course like Sabbath entered my life, and hearing these drummers, and then of course Metallica, Slayer changed all our lives, and that's kind of where my roots came from. Was before I freaked out on Dave Lombardo, I was already a drummer, and I was tripping out on heavy music, what I thought was heavy, but it was Southern rock and then Sabbath type stuff.
Yeah.
So there was no like blasting and speed and double bass and shit going on then. It was just what I learned, just the Southern rock of my life, of all the albums I had from my oldest brother.
Sure.
So,
now, going back to that time a little bit, old school Florida scene, what was it like back then when you guys were coming up with all those bands? Did you have, some competitive, kind of good-natured rivalry, each kind of pushing each other up? Or you guys, were you guys connected at all? Or was it kind of each doing your own thing and it just happened to be that same area?
No, it was a little bit of both. I think we kind of were doing our own thing, because when you're young, you kind of got, you want to root for the other guys, but you want to be more badass, because that's just when you're young. But there was that brotherhood, that camaraderie where, Chuck from Death was right down the road from us. He was in Orlando, we were in Tampa. Then it was Deicide and Atheist and Obituary kind of really going for it, and Morbid Angel. So there was like these epic bands that we didn't even know it yet. We were all beginning, and we started writing these records and songs that now are legendary type, status. And we didn't know it, but there's no question we were there for each other, whether it was a real friendship like brotherhood. But when somebody would play a show, because Tampa at the time was such a small metal scene, that we were there. I was in the crowd drinking beer when I shouldn't be, because I was too young, and sneaking backstage, sneaking behind getting in the back door, because I wasn't even old enough to get in to see a Sabotage show or a Nasty Savage show or a Death show. And then, of course, we were playing shows together at super young ages, in 86, 87. We were kind of still teenagers and just going for it. And so it was cool, There was no, like, beef where you hated each other and you're, slitting each other's tires and shit. There was none of that, You might have talked shit a little bit because, again, you were kind of, you're young and you got an attitude and you think you're more badass than anybody. And you kind of needed that, because in Florida at the time, you were either pretty damn good, or you kind of got left behind in the dust, because there was Death and there was Deicide and there was Obituary and bands that didn't cut it. What are you going to do, man? A lot of the fans saw that there was some epic shit happening.
Well, on that, because you guys, I know at least you were pretty young, like when Slowly We Rock came out.
Yeah.
I think I heard you were, 16 or 17 or something like that?
We wrote it in 86, so I was probably 16 or so, 17. I don't think it came out till 88 or 89.
Right.
So, but yeah, I was young.
Were the rest of the guys about that age?
I'm the youngest in the band, but it's very close. Like, Trevor's 1 year older than me. My brother's 1 year older than him. And now Ken's right around our age. Terry's the grandpa of the band. He's a few years older than I am. But, we're all super close to about the same age.
Yeah. So just jumping into the album you guys put out last year, Inked in Blood, phenomenal album.
Thanks,
by the
man.
way. A lot of cool reviews. It's been out for a while. How have you guys? Is it still? Are you guys still feeling as kick-ass about it as when it first came out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't be more proud that we took our time writing it, and it shows. I think we wrote good songs. But the thing that was more of a challenge, and we did it, and maybe it's not the most properly recorded album, but we just took it on ourselves.
Right.
We didn't ask for any help. We didn't ask for any record label help. We didn't bring in any engineers. We used our Pro Tools system that's at the house that we recorded the last couple records before that. But we did the whole thing. We edited it ourselves. We did that. We did the tracking. We mixed it ourselves, and then we handed it off to let it get mastered by the record label. But that was
Where'd
a cool
you guys
task.
get that kind of experience? Because it sound. I mean, you would never know. You would think this thing was produced by
whoever.
You know.
I've always been hands-on. I always was the one that sat there every split second at Morrisound, even when we were young. So I understood the concept and the theory behind recording. But you know, I don't know. We just a few years back, actually a while ago. It's probably been 10 years now, and we just realized how much money we were dumping on spending at studios, and we were like, man, you know, if we just dump this one time and just invest in a cool, just recording equipment, you know. So we did. We bought back then. Now it's a dinosaur, but we bought a Mac Daddy system with the killer inputs and the proper microphones, and spent a lot of money on it, and just learned. You know, we brought in our engineer Mark Prater the first couple times, and he taught me what Pro Tools was, and kind of set me up with, you know, certain sessions and stuff, and we were smart enough to save those as blank sessions, so when you open them up you can start from scratch. And I know like this much about Pro Tools, but it's enough to record an album. Enough to record an Obituary album, because, you know, we didn't do any kind of sound replacement. We didn't try to trigger anything. That's just microphones around the drum set like back in the day, and that's how we did it. You know, we played well on the record. And again, it might not be the best sounding album and that was part my fault, but I engineered it, and we kind of went for it.
I love the sound. Yeah.
Cool.
So the drums then, you've been, like you said, you play, you don't try to play the fastest, and you don't try to shred as hard. You play the Obituary sound, but I guess how has your technique changed over the course?
I think I got more basic.
Okay.
Like,
That's interesting.
I think I did, because I mean I can still play probably more technical if I wanted to, but listening to like the Slowly But Rot album, for instance, we still play many songs off that record live, and comparing that when I perform, comparing to what I was doing as a teenager on that record to what I did on the Inked in Blood, I realized that, you know what, it is about being basic and solid, just not necessarily doing 1,000 things during a song, but the 100 things that I do, play them with a lot of taste and a lot of confidence, and I think that makes a better song. You know, like, again, I go back to, I'm old school. I'm schooled the old school way. Like, John Bonham was my favorite drummer with Led Zeppelin, and Vinny Appice, you know, the Holy Diver album, that's my Bible. That's just something I can listen to every day. It's not technical drumming, but it's so damn tasty that it still teaches me every time I listen to it. And so back to the question, I think I learned to get more basic, but you just write the drums, whatever song we're writing. I now realize I have to put the drums, the proper drumming for that song, for it to breathe and for it to be what it should be. I could speed up the bass drums and play twice as fast or do some crazy shit, but it didn't need it, especially on this record. You know, Trevor's guitar style and his songwriting is very basic as well, and just basic solid drumming is what I'm learning, that it helps, it fits, it's what makes people head, you know, it makes your head nod and you don't even know it, you know, not 1,000-mile-an-hour feet, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do as far as influences go, I know, you know, you guys have talked about that a lot, but is there you guys ever pick anything up you think, you know, if you're touring with a certain band you haven't heard before, or you think any of that seeps in? Because I know probably most of it's from the old school stuff, but is there anything of that?
I don't think it does with me, because the bands that I freak out on, they are doing technical shit where I'm just like, whoa, but it doesn't translate to an Obituary song. It'd be like if I asked, you know, if I asked someone from a band that's technical to jump behind the kit and make his rendition of Visions in My Head or something. Right. It does. I don't know if it would work. You know, it needed that basic, just straight double bass and not much going on there to make it a solid song. So I definitely get inspiration by dudes that are going out of their mind, but I don't know if it necessarily translates into what I'm about to write for the next Obituary.
Sure.
You know, again, it goes back to like listening to the Inked in Blood album after it was out for a year. When I still listen to it, I'm like, man, I actually hear Mickey D influences from the Abigail album, a King Diamond record, when I was young, and I'm like, man, I didn't even know I did that, but that is a complete. I totally ripped Mickey D off.
It's probably ingrained in there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is that's one of my favorite drummers in the world. Still, he's still one of the best drummers, and I find myself going that influence, and I didn't say I'm going to go get influenced by what I used to really love, but it is coming out of me still of the stuff that I was learning when I was first learning drums.
Yeah.
Now I don't really think anyone's influencing me when it comes to an Obituary song. When I'm practicing at home, of course I'll be practicing and seeing what these dudes are doing, and I try it, but we're cavemen.
Yeah, right.
We're Obituary's cavemen of metal. We keep it really basic.
Speaking of visions, when you guys wrote that song, just walk us through, for that song specifically, where did you guys start with that? Who comes? You guys start with drums, guitar? How does that work?
It's amazing, man. We don't ever. It's not like Trevor calls me and goes, "I'll be there Tuesday. I got a great riff." Me and Trevor get in the room, drink a beer, just look at each other and don't even think too much about it. And I might have threw a drum beat down, or he might have did it. And that song in particular, that song didn't take us an hour, and we knew exactly what it was going to be.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Me too. And it's just one of those things. We're not that band to sit there and grind for 3 or 4 hours in a day and, sit there and beg that where's the next riff going to come from? If it doesn't happen within 15 minutes to an hour with me and Trevor, we know there's tomorrow, and we're not going to rush it, And some of the songs, he'll have an idea, and he'll be playing it for half a year earlier on stage, and someone will remind him, remember that thing you were doing? He's like, no, but... and then he'll think about it, and we'll come up with a song that way. But in general, we usually start with a complete blank canvas and blank mind, and don't think too much about what's going on.
Yeah.
That's how we're learning. That's how I figured out that we write the best. That's the best way we write, when we don't think too hard, and we go for it. And sometimes nothing happens,
Right.
But most of the time when we get together, something cool happens. We'll make sure we record it, and then if it starts getting stupid, or we just kind of get lost, we start talking about sports. At least we recorded it. The next day you can listen to it, and immediately you get an idea. You're like, okay, that's cool. That part don't make any sense. Get rid of that, but let's stick with this and make something cool out of it. So it's been a little bit now. Are you guys writing anything at the moment for the next album? We always are.
Yeah.
We're always, anytime we get together, there's always a cool riff that comes out or something, and we're like, oh, hang on, don't quiet down. Let me remember that. Even if we record it on the iPhone, just to get it down. So we're always writing. We do have some material written. We are not in a hurry for another record, but again, we don't want to wait 5 years in between albums. So it's going on a year and a half or so. Even this will be at 2 years at the end of this year when we're done touring. And so we're always writing riffs and thinking about it. And we know there needs to be another album, and there will be, but we want to make sure it's another killer one,
Yeah. I will finish off on just, something more, if you had a name, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but maybe top 3, top 4 death metal albums, what would you pick?
God. Scream Bloody Gore.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, you use the word death metal. That's tough for me. I don't listen to much death metal.
Well, let's do death metal and then outside of it.
Yeah, I mean, death metal, I would do a chug. I'd do Scream Bloody Gore. That album set bars, you know what I mean? And then Inked in Blood, I hate saying it because I love that album. It's just still, I'm very proud of it. And then, I don't know, man. Slayer it's not death metal, but Random Blood's, one of the sickest albums still ever,
Outside of death metal, you guys are from Florida.
Yeah.
You guys get into anything? I think you said some Southern rock, right? Some stuff like
that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the old stuff, That's the, Molly Hatchet and Leonard Skinner and all that. That's my meat and potatoes. That's what I truly love,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, there's no albums I can't name because every one of them I love them.
I hear you.
I'm sorry, man.
No, it's okay. That and Led Zeppelin, you can't get anything wrong.
Yeah.
Go wrong with Led Zeppelin drumming.
I just got one quick question. Being a drummer, what pre-show? What do you do? What kind of rituals do you do to warm up? Are you just to sit behind the kid and play?
Yeah, I don't practice rudiments for an hour and do all that. I just make sure my body's at temp and that I'm prepared for battle.
Okay.
Especially again, when we first sat down, it's it's the battle of, are my drums sounding good or are my hands ready to go? It's like is my neck going to be all right, or am I going to throw my back out tonight at this age? So I just prepare, man. I just make sure that throughout the day I'm doing plenty of liquids and fluids and shit, and then before showtime I just basically put on an album and just stretch and warm up and make sure I put on layers and literally almost bust a sweat before even walking in there. And like you said, I'm not the dude to go sit behind the drum kit backstage and have to practice for 30 minutes to really get my chops going. As long as my body's ready to go, I'm pretty much ready to go with Obituary songs. I feel sorry for blast beat drummers because I think they do need to.
Oh yeah.
I think they do need to prepare themselves for like, oh my God, what is going to happen the very first song, you know?
Yeah.
So.
No, I respect that a lot, man.
Last question.
Yeah.
You guys have been, around 30 plus years now. Have you accomplished everything you want, or do you have any certain goals you guys still want to hit, certain tours, or just whatever?
I don't know, man. I'm happy with what we're doing. A band always wants to be more popular. If we could blink and there was commercial radio that believed in metal and death metal and an Obituary style song, that would rule to hear. So to be able to hear yourself on the radio at a regular basis and know that fans can find you by just going to 96.666 or something. You wish that would happen, just because fans deserve that too. A commercial radio station, and I guess satellite is there. I don't have satellite. I'm not a techno dude, and I don't know any. If there is, I guess there's 1,000 stations, but you know what I mean. It would be cool, but that's not going to happen. But I'm happy with what Obituary does. We're proud of what we do. We know we pretty much kick people's asses every night live, and that's cool with me.
Oh yeah, man. We're looking forward to it.
Cool.
We won't take any more of your time, man.
You
Really
guys are
appreciate
gonna have
it.
a good time tonight.
Oh yeah.
With the darkness we are